So, imagine locking your cousin in your house for 19 years. And then one day you just go, you know what? I'm going to have her executed. Yeah, that's not a family group chat problem. That's a 1587 Queen Elizabeth I problem. Because in 1587, Elizabeth, Queen of England, master of vibes, and apparently not great at conflict resolution, officially signed off on the execution of her own cousin, Mary, Queen of Scots. Now, to be fair, Mary was involved in plots to overthrow her. But also, to be fair, executing your cousin is still a bit of a bold move. So today she's asking the question, AITA for executing my cousin to protect my crown. I am a queen. I have been a queen for 29 years. I have kept my kingdom Protestant, solvent, and, against all expectations, mine own. I have refused every marriage proposal thrusted at me like the plague. I have survived smallpox. I have outwitted Philip of Spain, and I have done it all without a husband, which I consider my greatest achievement. Now, here is my situation. I have a cousin, or had a cousin. Her name was Mary, and she was, in no particular order, the former Queen of France, the former Queen of Scotland, and apparently absolutely gorgeous, so much so that her beauty made all the men around her lose their last remaining brain cells. Must have been nice. But she was mostly the single greatest threat to my life and crown. Mary Queen of Scots. That wicked woman. She arrived without invitation, I'd like to add, in my England in the year 1568, because the poor woman had just been driven out of her own kingdom by her own nobles, which, I should note, was her own bloody fault, as she had the unbelievably stupid idea of marrying the man widely suspected of murdering her previous husband. Classic Mary, unstoppable idiocy dressed up in the finest French fashion. Unfortunately, that was my dear cousin. However so, being the kind, competent ruler I was, I could not send her back to Scotland. They would have executed her. France wasn't an option either. They would have used her against me. Nor could I just let her roam around freely to any other lands. Every Catholic in Europe considered her the legitimate Queen of England, and me a bastard, and they were very vocal and nasty about this opinion, those rude little Catholics. Anyways, I imprisoned her, generously and comfortably, for 19 years. It may have not been to her liking, but damn it, it was the only other option other than chopping off the woman's head. Thanks to me, Mary had servants and a household. She also had the freedom of correspondence with whomever she wanted. Now, looking back, I have come to realize she had too much freedom in her correspondence privileges. Perhaps I should have just ordered her hands chopped off. Because in 1586, my spy master, Sir Francis Walsingham, a man who could find a conspiracy in a bread roll, intercepted a series of letters. Letters in cipher. Letters in which Mary, Queen of Scots, that foolish woman of corrupt judgment, had written her explicit approval of a plot to assassinate me. The Babington Plot. Named after Anthony Babington, a young Catholic fool, and a clotpole of the First Order, had written to Mary in detail describing how 6 gentlemen were to murder me. He asked for her blessing. She willingly gave it, in writing. In her own bloody writing. I need you to understand what that means. She did not merely dream of my death, nor did she merely wish for my death in the privacy of her prayers. She endorsed it with her own hand to a man who was, as it happened, already being watched by my spy master. She was tried. The evidence was overwhelming. She was found guilty of conspiring against my life, and my entire council, every single one of them, those foolish men who agree on nothing else, demanded her execution. My parliament petitioned me twice. My advisors threatened to resign after they finished calling her a she-devil, or maybe it was a she-wolf, he said. I'm not entirely sure. A lot was said on that day. One of them, bless him, called Mary that dastardly bastard of a wicked line, which I thought was a bit much but not inaccurate. And I hesitated. I did so for months. I rewrote the warrant and signed and unsigned it many times. I had my secretaries draft responses saying I might yet show mercy. I delayed and equivocated. I did not want to execute her. Not because I was soft, you understand. Because I understood exactly what it meant. Mary was a crowned queen, a laughably yet disappointingly bad one, but still a queen in her own right. If I killed her, I would be establishing a precedence that queens could be killed. My only issue with that, I am a queen as well, but my council would not let it rest. The bloody fools would not let me rest or think long enough to form a clear decision of my own. They pushed and prodded and wept at me, genuinely wept. Ugh, grown men weeping in my presence, while telling me that my life was in danger every day she drew breath. So I, eventually, signed the warrant. The warrant was sent. The execution was carried out. On the 8th of February 1587, Mary Queen of Scots, that wicked woman who could have lived out the rest of her days in comfortable captivity if she had simply kept her vain fool of a mouth shut, was beheaded. She wore red, apparently to symbolize Catholic martyrdom. Very on brand for Mary. She died well, I'm told, but damn her for forcing my hand. I immediately pretended I had not authorized the execution, dismissed my Secretary Davison from service for sending the warrant without my final confirmation, and wrote a furious letter to Mary's son, King James of Scotland, expressing my condolences. He didn't entirely believe me. Did I handle this perfectly? No, I can admit that. But did she leave me any other option? I think not. So here we are. AITA Update 1. Several of you have asked why I waited 19 years to execute her if she was such a threat. This is a fair question, and I shall answer it with complete honesty and only mild irritation. I did not want to execute her because I am not, contrary to popular Catholic opinion, a monster. She was my cousin. She was a queen. I understood better than anyone what it meant to be a woman in a precarious position of power, with men on all sides demanding your head. I offered her terms early on. I told her, renounce your claim to my throne, acknowledge my legitimacy, and I will receive you at court. She declined. She considered herself the rightful Queen of England. She never, not once in 19 years, abandoned that belief. I want you to understand what I was dealing with. Every Catholic monarch in Europe, Philip of Spain, the Pope, half the French court, considered Mary the legitimate Queen of England and me a bastard. They did not merely think this privately. They funded plots, they smuggled letters, they sent agents. I had Mary under house arrest. I had her watched. I intercepted her letters. And still, she managed to correspond with conspirators, to approve assassination plots, to make herself the rallying point for every scurvy knave, every blackguard, every villainous wretch who fancied himself a Catholic crusader. You ask why I waited? Because I kept hoping she would be sensible. She never was. She was, to the very end, a woman of corrupt judgment who could not see her own situation clearly. She was the bloody fool who thought she could outmaneuver Walsingham. Nobody outmaneuvers Walsingham. Nobody. Anyway, the comments have divided neatly along religious lines, which is very on brand for the 16th century. Update 2. Right. Since some of you persist in painting Mary as a simple victim, I am going to lay out the full timeline. Not because I owe you this. I don't, not in the very least. But because historical accuracy matters, and the revisionism in these comments is giving me a headache. 1568. Mary arrives in England. She has just escaped from Loch Leven Castle, where she was imprisoned by her own Scottish nobles for, and I cannot stress this enough, being credibly accused of involvement in her husband, Lord Darnley's murder. Not my accusation. Her own subjects. Then all the idiotic and irritating plots followed her arrival. The first was in 1569, the Northern Rising. English Catholic nobles attempt to free Mary and place her on my throne. The Rising is crushed. Yes, but it was the first of many such plots centered upon her existence in my kingdom. The next plot was in 1571, with the Ridolfi plot. A Florentine banker named Roberto Ridolfi plans to have me assassinated, and Mary installed as queen with the help of Spanish troops. Mary is implicated. I choose not to execute her. I am, at this point, being extraordinarily merciful. Then, in 1583, it was the Throckmorton plot, another Catholic conspiracy to assassinate me, replace me with Mary, and invite a Spanish invasion. More letters intercepted, more implicated parties. Still, I do not chop her head off, as I should, and as most in my place would have. Lastly, in 1586, the damn Babington plot. 6 men were to carry out my assassination, with her explicit written endorsement to the plot. At what point, I ask you sincerely, does one exhaust the possibilities of mercy? She was not a naive prisoner. She was an active political agent operating against me from inside my own kingdom. She used every servant, every visitor, every letter as a weapon. Yet I am told some of you are calling her a martyr. A martyr? The woman endorsed my murder from the comfort of my own castle. I will not be entertaining the martyr narrative. I will note, since we are being thorough, that upon her execution, it was discovered she had been secretly corresponding with Philip of Spain about the inheritance of the English throne. Planning ahead, as it were. Even in death, Mary had schemes. Even in death. Ugh, that foolish woman would have plotted against the Almighty himself if she thought it would improve her position. Final update. I have been Queen of England for 29 years. I have never married and have no children. I have given everything, every personal liberty, every ordinary human comfort, to this kingdom and this crown. And the one decision that follows me, the one that will follow me to my grave, is this one, not the Armada, or the religious settlement, or the golden age of letters and theatre that is currently flourishing under my reign, and that some very pretentious playwright in London is making rather good use of. This one. Mary wore red on the block, red for the blood of martyrs. She knew what she was doing and understood the image she was crafting. And to her credit, she was, to the end, a far better performer than anyone gave her credit for. But still a less than smart woman. I signed the warrant that sent her to the block, and I believe I was right to do so. I believe that to my marrow. And yet, she was my cousin and the last of my blood. The only other Tudor woman left in this world. And I killed her because she would not stop trying to take what was mine. Damn her for that. Her son wrote to me, the young King James of Scots, asking me to explain myself. He was surprisingly restrained. I wrote back that I had not wished it, that I had been betrayed by my own secretary, and that the warrant had gone further than I intended. He did not believe me. He's smarter than his mother, because he was right not to. I have been called many things. A heretic, a bastard, a she-devil, in at least 3 papal documents that I am aware of. A witch, by those who cannot accept that a woman might simply be competent. I have never been called merciful. I wonder sometimes, in the hours between midnight and dawn, whether I could have been. Whether there was some other path, some sentence short of death, some arrangement that would have satisfied my counsel and spared her life. And then I remember, she approved the letters, endorsed the daggers, and looked at me across 19 years of grudging captivity and saw not a woman but a crown to be taken. She was a foolish woman, a woman of corrupt judgment, and a wicked woman who could not, would not, be saved from herself. May she find eternal peace now. I am Elizabeth. I am England. And I'm still standing. Mary Queen of Scots was executed on the 8th of February, 1587. She was 44 years old and reportedly forgave her executioners before the end. Elizabeth never publicly acknowledged grief over her death, but she did rage at her counsellors and dismissed her secretary. Then, out of respect, wore black. However, she never spoke Mary's name again in public. Elizabeth died in 1603. The last Tudor, childless, alone. She was succeeded by James VI of Scotland, who was the son of Mary Queen of Scots. His succession to the throne brought the kingdoms of Scotland and England under one crown for the first time in history. So in a way, the woman Elizabeth executed got the last word after all. Her bloodline took the English throne in the end. History is, occasionally, ironic and funny that way. So, what's your verdict? Personally, I think NTA, simply because Mary, Queen of Scots, directly linked herself to multiple poorly thought-out plots that realistically had no real chance of succeeding in overthrowing Elizabeth and taking the English throne. So Elizabeth's decision came down as a last resort and was about protecting her own life and the stability of her kingdom. It's not like she was as petty as her father and sister. Her decision was never personal or about revenge. But drop your verdict in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, smash the like button and join the jury by subscribing for more. History AITA.